Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulullah. The question is asking here, we were praying behind the Imam and the electricity cut off, so we couldn't hear him, or the microphone or the PA, the public announcement cut off, so we couldn't follow him. And then it came back, and then we realized that he was in a different position. So what do you do in this scenario? Now, the ulama have said, if a person has not followed the Imam correctly, so now there are 4 scenarios when it comes to following, and I don't want to make this lengthier than it requires, and this is found in our studies in fiqh, but the ulama have said there are 4 scenarios. Either you go with the Imam, so whilst the Imam is saying Allahu Akbar, you go with him, this is makruh. You go before the Imam. The ulama have said if the person does this on purpose, then the salah is batil, especially in takbiratul ihram and the taslim. Meaning if you say Allahu Akbar before the Imam, then your salah behind him is not even counted in the first place, because you've got the intention to pray behind him, but you've gone before him even before he started. The third scenario is when there is a delay. So basically the Imam has gone into ruku and you're still standing, and then you feel like going into ruku when you feel like it, as in like he's done now subhanallah twice. Now we're going to ruku. I just want to finish off. That's not allowed. And again, that's makruh. And the ulama have said that the fourth scenario is al-mutaba'ah. And al-mutaba'ah means that you follow the Imam. So the Imam says Allahu Akbar. As soon as he has said the ra, that's when you move. Whether you're still on your Fatiha or not, that's when you move. Sami Allahu liman hamidah. When he says the dah, that's when you move. When you say Rabbana. And also here, it wouldn't make much sense. And a lot of people do this praying behind the Imam. Sami Allahu liman hamidah. That next sentence that comes, Rabbana lakal hamd, is dependent on Sami Allahu liman hamidah. So if a person is saying, if the Imam says Sami Allah, and then the person says Rabbana, it doesn't make sense. Hence the Messenger of Allah said, إِذَا كَبَّرْ فَكَبِّرُوا. When he says Allahu Akbar, then you say Allahu Akbar. Right? So that's the sunnah in this. Now, the question though, what happens if the person is praying behind the Imam and they've been delayed? Now, the ulama have said, if the person has been delayed on purpose, then he is sinful, and the rak'ah is batil, meaning he has to repeat the whole rak'ah again. And the ulama have said also, some of them have said that the whole salah is batil, meaning the Imam is praying and you're not following him correctly on purpose. Then what are you doing? The second scenario is that if the Imam is leading the salah and you're behind the Imam, and for one reason or another, there's a valid reason, you were not able to follow the Imam. Now the ulama have differed. The Malikiyya, and this is also a view from the Shafi'iyya, is that if you were behind the Imam by one pillar of the salat, then that rak'ah is batil. Right? So you're in qiyam. The Imam goes into ruku. As soon as he gets up from the ruku, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, and you're still in qiyam position, that rak'ah is batil. And like I've said, some of the ulama have said if there's no excuse, then the salah is batil. You have to repeat the whole salah. But if there is a legitimate excuse, like we've got in our question here, then inshallah, I don't think any of the ulama, any from the ulama will say that the salah will become invalid because of that. The majority of the ulama have said 2 rukun. The majority have said 2 rukun. So now you're in qiyam. The Imam goes into ruku'. Then he comes up from ruku'. You're still in qiyam. As soon as he moves from the standing position, which is Sami Allahu liman hamidah Rabbana, as soon as he moves on to go towards sujood, if you're still in qiyam, that rak'ah is invalid. And we're talking about a person who's got an excuse. If he hasn't got an excuse, then he is sinful, and there's debate as to whether the salah is valid or not. What does the person do in that scenario? What you must do then is catch up with the Imam, if you're able to do so. So now the electricity's come back on, the sound can be heard again, and you now recognize that the Imam is saying Subhana Rabbil A'la. Maybe he's saying in an audible voice, or he says Allahu Akbar, you hear him say Rabbi Gfirli, or something of that nature. You know which position he's in. If you can catch him up, then catch him up. But if you can't, then you go to the position that he is in, and you're excused for that, and you repeat the rak'ah that you have missed. This hopefully, can't think of another situation where we haven't actually described in our message here. I think hopefully this covers all bases, inshallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us the best of understanding of His religion. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He teaches us of the salat which is the greatest pillar after La ilaha illallah, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala resurrects us amongst the people of Salat. هذا والله أعلم. صلى الله على محمد.